One of the things that they see with customers that have multiple or have large number of cases that created every week is they may have get duplicate cases from different business units that bumped into a similar problem. And this search doesn't explicitly, I'm actually not going to click on cases, and I'll tell you why in a minute. This search does not explicitly search on their prior cases. You have to go and click on cases on the top right over here. And I would click that, but I'm logged in with my profile, which has visibility into numerous customers' cases. And as soon as I click that, you're just going to see a bunch of cases from other customers, which would not be good. But yeah, that's a good, I'll take that back and see if we can add it to the source thing and make it part of the.
It's probably a different index since it's access control.
Possibly, yeah. Sure.
The other thing that's kind of maddening about the case search shows you the oldest cases first. You have to scroll all the way down to the bottom to see recent cases. Kind of
Open a case and let's file an RFE.
okay,
All right, sweet.
I'll do it right now.
So, yes. Because I don't know what browser you're using to search them. We joke, but he's one of my customers, so it's all right. So the idea here is we're searching while we create a case. All right. Let's talk a little bit about sauce reports. What are they? Why, where, how? We get a lot of people come to me and say, oh, sauce, like I didn't attach a sauce report, it was a lot of work, blah, blah, blah. Sauce reports are really easy. We need one in every case, almost exclusively. We will always ask for one in every case. We're happy to, you can't give us one for whatever reason. That's fine. We'll deal. We will still help you. But remember that this is the key piece of information, right? It's that tool that goes and gathers all the logs, that gathers all the statistics on the system and puts them in one tarball for us so that we don't have to keep going back to you asking for stuff. It's going to be all in there, or hopefully all of it in there. There's a lot of concern about, what about your proprietary data? What about, you don't want to expose your IP addresses, you don't want to expose host names, usernames, that kind of stuff. The first thing I would say is check out the sauce report, open it up. It's just a tarball. It'll expand, under its own directory and all that kind of stuff, so it won't get messy. And see if there really is stuff in there that you don't want us to have access to. We do have NDAs with all of our customers. It's part of the support agreement, so none of your information is going to show up anywhere, including in knowledge base articles. We do strip out all customer identifying information from knowledge base articles. It's under NDA. Purge it. We are currently working on a plugin for the Red Hat support tool that will purge IP addresses. You can tell it sort of a regex for your host names. It can't guess what your host names are. But it's basically a plugin into the Red Hat support tool, which I will demo in a little bit, that does that for you. It'll open up the sauce report, strip out the IP addresses and all that other stuff. Go ahead. Jboss, the question was if this also applies for defect cases for Jboss. Jboss has a similar tool called JDR. It's effectively the same thing. It gathers all of that information for us into one tarball so that we don't have to keep going back and forth asking for more data. I don't have statistics on JDR, and the reason for that is they just recently, or within the past couple of releases, they just changed the format of how they create the files, and I just could not come up with a sane SQL query to actually find the proper file name for it. It's something that keeps me up at night, so I'll come up with a solution for that eventually. So next year at Summit, I'll be talking about JDRs. Right, so sauce reports are easy, right? What are we doing to make this easier for you? Red Hat support tool Keith Robertson is here at Summit. I don't know if he's presenting, but there have been other presentations, and there will be more on the Red Hat Support Tool. It's basically a command line tool that we have available. You install it on your system, and it lets you do everything from open a case from your local server. We hear a lot of people say, it really sucks to have to run SOS report on my server and then copy it to my workstation because my server doesn't have a web browser or whatever, and I can't upload it, or doesn't have FTP, or I have to copy it to my workstation and then upload it to a case with my browser. Yeah, we feel the pain. So that's where Red Hat Support Tool comes in. It basically you run it on your system, and it allows you to, from your system, open a case, create a SOS report, and attach it to the case. And it will go through your proxies, authenticated proxies and all that kind of stuff. So all you need to do is check that your proxy allows access to redhat.com, and that's it. Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome. Let me see. I think I've got a VM here that I can show the tool real quick. Assuming I can find my mouse. There it is. All right. Do it live or go home, right? So Red Hat Support Tool, really simple. Question mark gives you all of the options. For this specific presentation, really the only one I care about is open case, because say this system is having a performance issue, I want to open a case and send you a SOS report. It's going to ask me for my ID. Yeah, I'll let you save it. And assuming my internet's working, this is where I get the,
How is this different than ABRT?
So ABRT automates some of the stuff, but it's more specific to app cores, or I believe we're starting to make it work properly also with VM cores. It's not so much, of course, my live demo is not working, but it's not so much for specific outages or performance issues that don't generate an app core or VM core. We are working to make ABRT include a lot more of that stuff, but that's not where we are right now. Okay. I will walk you through how this, oh, sorry. This is available in RHEL 5 also, I believe. Yes, 5.8 onwards, but you can just install the dependencies are minimal, so you can install the package on pretty much any RHEL 5. And RHEL 6 and RHEL 7, of course, will have it. The obfuscation plugin that I mentioned to purge some of the data is going to be available in 6.6. Don't hold me to it. That's future statements. And it should be available in 5.10 or 5.11. Either way, as soon as it's out, you can just install it on your older versions, and it should just work. So what would have happened here, I also noticed that for some reason my power is not working. If one of the techs is here, my battery's going to die soon. What would have happened is we would have gotten a query of, okay, what's your password? And then give me a description of your case, exactly like on the web, but just not as pretty. Give me a description, give me a summary. And then next it would ask, do you want to attach a SOS report to this case? Hit yes, it's going to run SOS report for you and attach to the case immediately. So it saves you the step of having to go out and run the SOS report. And it prompts you to do it, which I really wish that we were more forceful about that when you're creating a case via the website. But understanding that some customers can't. I don't know what I think I lost my mouse again. Here we go. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with my network. I am happy to figure this out and show you guys how it works when we're not skipping through slides. I'm sorry? Thank you. Additionally, we do have a GSS booth, a support booth. If you go up to the registration area, you'll see the big banner. It's one of the little alcoves that goes down, and I'll definitely walk you through it there. Okay, let's get back to this real quick. Okay, so there are summit presentations on support tools. You might have already been to one. I don't know when the next one is. There might still be another one. And Keith has this video on the portal. If you just search for support tool first use or support tool in the customer portal, you'll come up with a video of him walking through how the tool works. It's pretty good. 15 hours. Remember. All right, crashes and panics. This is a contentious issue. Kdump. So we hear customers talk about Kdump as, well, I don't want this installed because it makes it so that my system takes longer to come back from a reboot or crash or whatever. Yes, this is true. It will make it so that your system, when it reboots, does not immediately, yeah, I have no power for some reason, does not immediately reboot back into the new system. What it does is it dumps the core, the memory of the system to a file, and that has basically anything, almost anything we could possibly need to solve a problem. I say almost. And as you can see from the data, we ask for a system core in a lot of cases. And the more stunning part of this is it was not configured in 40% of them. 40% of cases where we asked for a core dump, a Kdump to be set up, it wasn't already done. That's crazy. Because think about the amount of time, and I'll tell you how much that is. Think about the amount of time we spend having to go back and forth saying, we really need this piece of data and you guys don't have the tool installed. And what that means is I might have to wait for you to have that outage again before we can collect the right kind of data to fix it. That's terrible. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Yes, it has. Yes, absolutely. It's an incredibly important tool for us, so we definitely make sure it works in not just our virtualization products, but also all of our partners' virtualization products and everything. And yes, there were hiccups right in the beginning, but we should have been good for a little bit now. Mm-hmm.
And then also the fact that the artists are working by default, not really configured in any standard way.
Sure.
And if we get conversations with him about that, we will retrofit everything. I personally want to go over the project to make sure we have this in place. It is very important.
Mm-hmm.
So for all seven, that's something to be out of the box, turned on, at least like our crash, and we should have some
Right.
space.
That's a good question. Yeah. So the question was, with RHEL 6, he had a lot of problems with Kdump not being configured out of the box, and it's something that you manually configure, and he bumped into a couple bugs here and there. Yeah, so we don't configure Kdump out of the box right now because it's very particular to your environment. We're basically copying the contents of system memory, which could be anywhere from, I think the minimum for RHEL 6 is 512 megs, to we have systems out there with 10 terabytes. So that's a lot of data to be copied onto somewhere. And depending on your Kdump configuration, it could need the entire amount of memory in space on your disk to copy it. That's not our recommended configuration. Our recommended configuration actually strips out a bunch of stuff. But because of the way things are when a system is in a bad situation, there's no way for us to guarantee that your system is panicking and it's not going to actually need the entire 10 terabytes, which is why we don't configure it, right? I think it's better for us to have a conversation about what's your risk reward there for how much space you want to set aside in var. And most definitely, it isn't the easiest thing to have configured that will scale to all of your systems, right? If you're talking about hundreds, thousands of systems, they're all probably fairly different. Maybe not all, but there's probably a fairly large number of different environments that are not going to have the same KDump configuration. And that's something that working with your TAM or working with any other support engineer, just call in. We're happy to help come up with multiple different KDump configurations that will work for you, and we will also tell you over and over to please test it. Okay. All right, so in addition to the 5% of all cases in 2013 where customers said, my system crashed or panicked, there were an additional 5%, so 10% of all cases in 2013, we ended up needing a core. We didn't know right off the bat for the second 5%, but the first 5% was obvious to us. It's system crashed or panicked. There's a 64% chance we need a core in there. So if you do the math there, it's about 8% of every single case in 2013 a core was required, and almost half of them didn't have KDump configured. 3% of all cases involved us going back and forth, getting KDump configured. No. There we go. And as I said, if we need a core and KDump isn't configured, you're going to need to take a second outage. You're going to need to configure KDump, which likely involves a reboot so that we can reserve the right amount of memory for the core. And chances are we might have to wait until the system has the problem again so that we can gather that data when the problem happens. Okay, the important part. How long did it take us to receive the average core? Any guesses? It's more than the last one. Less than 15 days, yeah. Jeez. Yeah, more than 15 hours. It was 33 hours. Should I have a raffle? Yeah. So it took, on average, 33 hours for us to get a VM core in cases where we needed one. At 33, I mean, 2 business days, like 2 whole days in which we couldn't fully work on your solution on figuring out the problem because we didn't have a core. No. For really, really big core, the question was 33 hours to transfer the file. Hopefully not. Yes, absolutely. That's a really good question, and it's actually, I'll take a note for that because I'm curious to know what the average core size was for us. That would be really interesting. I want to say that the very anecdotal, thinking through cores that I've looked at, probably a couple gig, not significantly bigger than that. With the way we can configure KDump, it can strip out all sorts of stuff that we don't need. So you can get a 1 terabyte system. The core can get down to a couple gig. It's no problem. So so it wasn't 33 hours of transfer time. It was 33 hours overall until we had the core. There are a lot of things we can do to help this, but I figure most importantly, I'd just give you those 33 hours back. All right, so let's talk about what we can do here. KDump really is a lot easier than it seems. It looks like a nasty beast when you look at, oh my God, what is this doing? But it really is not that bad. We want to help you with any more complex configurations, be that large environments where you want to be able to deploy different configurations for KDump for depending on what the systems look like. Talk to us. We really want to help you with this. You'll probably have a fairly close configuration for almost all of your systems. Maybe not, but again, we're happy to help figure that out. We can dump to shared storage, NFS, SSH, SAN. We can even do some fancy masking and unmasking of LUNs so that you can have a LUN presented to a box which is only a dump location, and we ignore it until kdump comes in, unmasks it, dump to it, and then close it back so that the next system can use it. I want to say that most of the dumps I see are to local disk. They just go to var crash, which is fine. Especially if it's hard for you to negotiate more NFS space or SAN space or whatever. You'll definitely get, I mean, think about how much space this needs, right? I mean, we're talking, gigs of extra space in var crash that you need to dump to. So I would recommend, get a filer, an NFS filer out there, find another Linux box with some disk space, and set it up to dump to that. The kdump tool will even properly create the configuration and the keys. If you're doing SSH, for example, it'll even create the key and send the public-private keys to the boxes that you need to. So we do try and make it as easy as we can. And do remember to test. I know I've said this once or twice before. kdump configurations are easy to set up, but don't assume that this configuration is going to work on every single box in your environment. Test on similar kinds of servers. So what are we doing to make this easier? Videos, there are numerous videos out there on the customer portal on how to configure kdump, on how to even analyze cores and all that kind of stuff. We document the heck out of it. There's a really good knowledge base article on kdump, which I'll show you in a little bit. A really good knowledge base article on kdump, which explains the entire configuration. Go ahead. Absolutely. I have a fantastic slide that shows all of our offices, which I don't think is in this deck. But we have offices all over the world. We do 24/7 support. Which Eastern European? Central European. We have a big office in Farnborough, just outside London. We have a big office in Pune in India. We have a big office in, I think there's one in Poland also. So you're definitely covered in Europe. And we have people in different parts of the world where we can do 24/7 support fairly easily. Very good question. So the core dump will show up as, the question was, where does the core dump go? What does it look like? And how do I get it to you? Very good. It'll show up as a file on your system in var crash, generally a fairly big file. You can tar it up or gzip it or whatever to make it smaller. You will save some space by gzipping or bzipping. To get it to us, the best way is through FTP. We have an FTP server that is anonymous out there, where you can send stuff but you can't see anything on it. So what I would say is name the file vmcore. The file is going to be called vmcore. Name it vmcore dash and a case number. Upload it, and then in your case say, I've uploaded this file vmcore dash case number. It's also helpful for us to see a MD5 sum of the file so that we know when we've received the complete file. Unfortunately, transferring very large files across the web, every so often we get, we lose missing bits because of solar flares or whatever, right? So having an MD5 sum on the file will tell us that this is the correct core and the complete core. So just run it and just put it in the case comments. Yeah. It depends on the size. The question was, can you attach a kdump through the web UI when you open a case or through the support tool? It depends on the size. So the size limit for files attached to the case in that method is 1 gig. So if your core is larger than a gig, which it could be, then yes, then most definitely just attaches to the case. It's easier for everybody. But chances are it's bigger than a gig. In which case, FTP, and then send us, tell us what the file name and the MD5 sum is, and we'll get to it. I listed services as one of the ways we're making this easier. What I mean here is we're happy to come on site and tell you about KDump. There are video blogs that we put out on analyzing KDump and the best ways to get us the files and to get the data that we need. So let us know if you guys are having trouble with configuring KDump. We're happy to talk to you more about it. So one quick thing here. A lot of times, the backtrace, which is the nasty set of hex characters that you get on your screen when the system crashes, has enough information in there that we can identify that as a known issue that we've already fixed. What this means to you is your system crashed, you can get a console via ILO, DRAC, or whatever. Go pull that up and get us that screenshot. Even if you can't copy and paste it, take a picture with your cell phone. This one in particular, the rebalance laundry zone over there is enough for us to know what this was. So instead of spending the time trying to get us the core, which could be a big file, you might have to split it and that kind of stuff, send us that right away while you're working on getting us the core. And that will get us started. There's a decent chance that we can identify the problem from just that screenshot. Yeah, so check the console, attach it, it'll be good. Yeah.
So if you wanted to search, what is there a kind of a good line?
Yeah.
Search off that?
Right. Yeah, the RIP line up top is the big one. The last call trace is always interesting. You can see what the last system call was when the system, at least for this CPU, hopefully this is the CPU that actually had the process that caused the problem. Generally it is the last one that shows. Yeah, that's really it. It's the RIP line and the call trace is generally all you're going to need to send us. But if you can send me the screenshot or copy and paste that somehow, that's immensely helpful. So yeah, search on rebalance_laundry_zone in the knowledge base, and you will get a answer to that. And right on cue. Okay, so what are things that I want you to remember from all of this, right? What are the 3 lessons that I promised? Search for stuff. If we've seen it before, it's in the knowledge base article. It's in the knowledge base. There's an article in the knowledge. Send us SOS report immediately. It's the first thing you should do. There's a problem with the system, go run SOS report. Don't wait until the problem goes away, because it's possible that then that data that we needed went away. Run SOS report right away, attach it to the case. Don't wait for me to ask for it. It's as part of the workflow of creating a case is attaching a file or a SOS report. And do configure KDump on all your systems. 3 things, very easily. You add them up, that's 48 hours. 16 plus 33, math? 15 plus 33, 48 hours. 2 whole days that are wasted getting a SOS report and a core to us. It's crazy. All right, so just very quickly, big part of my role is talking to customers and figuring out what we're doing well and what we're not doing well, how we can change how we work. If you guys have any recommendations on the searching that wasn't working right or any of the above, this is sort of what I do at Red Hat, is I interact with customers to get stuff fixed and make things better for both of us. So please reach out to me. Any questions? So the question was, if you don't have a support contract versus if you do have a support contract, is there different data that's going to show up on the portal? The answer is yes. So if you don't have a support contract and you create a user ID, we're going to let you see the abstract, but unfortunately, we're not going to give you the entire knowledge base article. It's part of the give and take, right? You pay us for support, we give you support. So, most definitely use your accounts that have contracts associated to them. You don't need to have a TAM to see any of this. Just a regular support the cheapest support contract we have has access to all of the portal content. So, any other questions? All right. Thank you all very much.